Hey, good morning. This is Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and I'm here as usual on Wednesday at 10 o'clock Central Time to share Stonemaier Games news, to discuss some random topics, and to answer any questions that you may have, as long as they are non-spoiler questions. But you can ask me anything you'd like about Viticulture World, because at this point we have spoiled everything about it. The full expansion is available. The rules are available. The multiplayer rules, the Automa or the Buratino solo player rules are available. And you probably have started to see, if you're looking for them, reviews for this expansion as well, because a bunch of reviews have gone live this week. I'm really excited to get this in your hands. That won't happen until June. And if you do order from us in June, you'll get the first game promo pack. And everyone who buys the game, no matter how you buy it, will also get the replacement cards for a solution that we didn't implement the right way in the South American continent in this game. You can read all about that on last Thursday's blog post. And there's also a great video on that blog post from Amy and Maggie at Thinker Themer about some hugely problematic, really terrible people, really, two people who were included in the South American continent. This was flagged by several people that we should do something about it, and this was during the pre-production process for the game, and we added a strong disclaimer to that continent, but in hindsight, that wasn't the right solution. We should have just removed them, and so we are removing those characters and replacing them with mechanically identical characters who are not terrible people, or at least in the level of conquistadors. So that's a quick overview of what happened kind of last week. You may have heard about this. Feel free to check out my article for the full take on that, and I'm happy to answer questions about it as well. Good morning, Tony, Mike, Chad, Molly, Tim. Thanks for joining me today. As always, let me know if you have any questions. I will go down my list of topics. I was in Kansas City this past weekend visiting Megan and her family. We all kind of converged on Kansas City where her parents live. We played a lot of disc golf. The weather was beautiful. And so we cooked, we played disc golf, we ate good food. And it was just a really, really nice weekend. We also played a few games. I taught some easier games. Megan's family knows games pretty well, but we were kind of in a relaxed mood. So we played No Thanks. I taught No Thanks. I taught Mysterium Park, and we played Micro Macro Crime City, which was new to me, and I really, really enjoyed that game. It's kind of like a Where's Waldo game. We were trying to solve mysteries in a giant map, and the things on the map, the people on the map in particular, are where you see one person at one point in time. You might see that same person a short distance away at a previous point in time. And so you get to see like this path that these people take around the city. Nicholas has a question about Geekway to the West, a convention coming up in just 2 weeks now, coming up really fast. Nicholas says, will there be people that teach viticulture and Viticulture World at Geekway? Kind of. So using the play and win system at Geekway to the West, typically what people do is they check out a game, and if they don't already know how to play it, they learn it from the rules and they sit and play it, or they flag people who might know how to play it. And a lot of people know how to play the viticulture at this point, so if you go to Geekway or a convention and you're looking to know how to play, you can put up a flag that says like teacher wanted or players wanted. If I'm passing by, I'm happy to help with questions. I'm probably not there to teach the whole game, but I could definitely I can sit there for maybe the first year of the game and explain how to play. And really, once you know the first year of viticulture, you know most of how to play. And I can also do that for Viticulture World if I'm passing by. I am mostly just there to play a variety of new to me games with people that I don't normally get to play games with. But me and the rest of the Stonemaier Games team and ambassadors are certainly there to help with your questions if you have questions while you're playing any of our games. Let's see, just scrolling through questions here. Darren says, the angle and lighting look a lot better than usual. I basically just turned off all the lights in this room because the lights, I guess my camera light is pretty good, but I'm glad to hear that, Darren. I tried that last week and it worked well this week too. Craig says he's relatively new to the board game community. Well, welcome to the board game community, Craig. And he says, I just came across a Gen Con. Will Stonemaier Games have a presence there? And do you think it's a good convention for a newer board gamer? I would not say, it's a good question, Craig. I would say it's not a great convention for a new board gamer because it's pretty much overwhelming. It's like, I don't know, it just, there's a lot of stuff happening, and the systems at Gen Con are they seem designed for people who already know how Gen Con works. It's an event system. So if you want to do anything at Gen Con, you have to sign up for an event to do it and use their ticket system to get into that event. It's a very structured system. So if you like structure, you might really like that. But the first time I went to Gen Con, I was really overwhelmed. There's so much going on, and there isn't much to do like on the spur of the moment. There isn't like a lot of just like, okay, you see a game you want to play and you sit down and you easily find people to play that game. There isn't a lot of that. It's more of there's a great there's the events and there's a giant hall of games where you can go and look at what companies are excited to share with you. Which can be it's cool, but it's just a little overwhelming. I would recommend for a newer board gamer, I would recommend going to a smaller local convention where the focus is on just playing games and getting to know people. I think that's a much more accessible starting point than Gen Con. As for Stonemaier Games at Gen Con, we don't have an official presence there, but we have a close to it. There's a company called MeepleSource that we work closely with, and they kind of represent Stonemaier Games at Gen Con. And so there's a giant booth that's essentially a MeepleSource booth, but Stonemaier Games has a big presence at that booth. I won't personally be there, but there will be people there at the Gen Con booth sharing our games with anyone who's interested. Bruno says, do you know if Viticulture will be available as a complete bundle from other retailers or just from Stonemaier Games? So, Bruno, there's actually no such thing as a complete bundle for Viticulture. The way we sell our products is if you want some Viticulture stuff, you can go to our web store or to a retailer and say, these are the things I want. I want the metal coins, I want Viticulture, and I want the Rhine Valley expansion. Or I want Viticulture, and I want Viticulture World, and I want the metal coins. Metal coins are awesome. So you can pick and choose exactly what you want, regardless of whether you're buying from us or from a retailer. The one product that, at least for the first print run of Viticulture World, that we are not offering through retail because of the really high cost of freight shipping right now is the wine crate box. So the wine crate organizer box, the first printing includes Viticulture World inside the box. And that's the only thing it includes inside the box. So if you want other Viticulture stuff, you have to buy it separately, but also you can buy it within the same order on our web store during the pre-order period. But you can't get that wine crate organizer box from retailers, at least as part of the first printing. Yeah. Joshua says, good morning from me and his newborn son. Yeah, I reached out to Joshua about playtesting last week and was excited to learn that he had a new baby. Congratulations, Joshua. That is wonderful to hear. He says, if you were holding a sleeping baby, what solo game would you play one-handed? He says, I'm trying to play Creature Comforts. What games can you play one-handed? I don't have babies, but I do have cats sometimes that I'm wrangling with one arm, and I'm trying to play a game in the other arm. I often play games open-handed, even though they're technically closed-handed, so I think there are a lot of games where you don't even need to have anything in your hand at any point in time, like Viticulture. I played Viticulture open-handed, so I don't ever need to hold anything in my hand then. But in Viticulture, you do have to reach across the table at certain times, and that's tough with a baby or cat in your hands. So it's a game where you don't really need to do that, where everything that you ever need to touch is like right in front of you. You know, I mentioned No Thanks. We did play No Thanks over the weekend, and No Thanks, no, that doesn't work either because you kind of have coins in one hand, and it's hard to dispatch a specific number of coins hidden from one hand. I don't know. That's a great question. Let's see what people say in the comments below. What game can you easily play if you're holding a child, an infant, or a pet in one arm, and you only have one other hand accessible to you, and you can't reach far across the table? That's a fun question. Chad says, how many people noticed the box in the background of your Polite Kitties Instagram post? It sounds like a few people did, Chad. And I'll leave it at that if anyone else wants to check out that post and see what you were talking about. Nathan says, looks like I'll be participating in Prototype Row at Geekway. I know you don't listen to any pitches at Geekway, but are you thinking of taking a quick glance at what's there, or will you stay focused on your gaming fun? I'll probably stay focused on my gaming fun. But I do like to listen to buzz that comes out of Prototype Row. So if there's some games that people are really excited about that fit the Stonemaier Games, what we're looking for at Stonemaier Games, I'll definitely listen to that. And maybe, you know, I need to be more aware of it because it is a great chance for publishers to go look at a bunch of prototypes in a short period of time. And so maybe I will try to do that, Nathan. I'll try to stop by Prototype Row. When will you be there? Do you have a certain time that you'll be there? I need to even find out where it is. I don't think I've ever gone by there before, so I need to find out where that is and when it's happening. Sven says, any comment on strategy concerns that Viticulture World is best played without playing green cards and just selling your fields, a la Quackalope? I mean, that's one person's opinion out of many, many people that have played this expansion. And really, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing that people have different strategical paths to playing Viticulture. He says, Viticulture World is best played without playing vine cards and just selling your fields. Um, I don't know. If you sell your fields, you can't plant vines and you can't get the winemaking machine in motion for viticulture. So I think, I don't know. Maybe it worked for them with one of the scenarios, given some certain circumstances of certain visitor cards. But I think the key with viticulture, with any play of viticulture, is that you need to play on your feet. You need to be ready on your feet for different strategies. Because the cards that come up, the cards that you draw are random. The visitor cards, the vine cards, the wine order cards. And so you need to be ready to pivot and find the right strategy that fits for you based on the cards that you have and based on the abundance of cards that you do have. And in viticulture world, the event cards that come out and the other things that emerge, the innovation tiles, you need to be ready to play kind of tactfully, sorry, not just strategically. So I don't know. I don't have any big concerns about that, about one strategy that one person took, and maybe it was two people I think in that game. Um, yeah, but it's interesting that they found a unique way to play viticulture. Viticulture has always not just been about a game about making wine and filling wine orders. There are many ways to run a successful vineyard. Yeah. Dan says he's laid up recovering from spinal surgery. That's rough, Dan. I hope you're okay. Um, he says, any ideas of good games that can be played from a bed or a favorite online app-based game at the moment? Yeah, some interesting limiting questions today about games that you can play with while holding an infant or a cat, or games if you're laid up in bed. Probably, I'm guessing you're on your back right now, Dan. So that limits it even further. Um, what games can you play while lying down? I remember I played Everdell on a bed. I went on a quick vacation last year, like a weekend long vacation, and stayed in a treehouse, and we played Everdell on a bed. But Everdell isn't really a game that's designed to play on a bed. So I don't know if I'd recommend that. The online option might be a better way to go. One of my all-time favorite games to play on an iPad is Lords of Waterdeep. I really love Lords of Waterdeep on an iPad. And I think Board Game Arena, there are lots of games that I love on Board Game Arena. Like Space Base is a recent favorite, A Feast for Odin, Terra Mystica. Yeah, there are a lot of great games that you can play on Board Game Arena. If anyone else has any answers about games that, if you have kind of limited mobility on a bed, what are some good games that you can play in that situation? I hope you feel better, Dan. Jay says, I asked this in the Rolling Realms group, but didn't receive an answer. I'm sorry we missed that, Jay. He says, are there plans to offer... Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I was waiting for Joe to answer that question, and maybe he didn't. Are there plans to offer replacement or spare markers for Rolling Realms in the Canadian store? Currently, they're only available in the international store, which is really mostly the U.S. store. And Jay, it's typically tough for us to offer a la carte components that aren't stickered with a SKU in our non-US stores, but I'll make a note about that. Joe, if you're listening to this, let me know if that is a possibility. Um, yeah, I'll make a note about checking that. But it is fairly difficult to do that with a la carte components like that. Yeah. Markers in Canada. Benny says, do you treat running Stonemaier games like a fun, heavy Euro game? It definitely feels like that sometimes. Sometimes it's a lighter Euro game. Sometimes it's a medium weight Euro game. I have a lot of fun with my job. I'm very fortunate to have this job, and it does have a lot of the creative problem solving that is parallel to actually playing a board game. Um, but yeah, a little bit, Benny. Yeah. Tim says, excited to see you in several weeks. Tim is coming to Geekway to the West. I'm excited to play Boon Lake with him. It sounds like Tim has already played Boon Lake. He says, I like what they did with their dual layered boards using stickers on folded boards instead of glue. Stickers on folded boards. Oh, I see. So you fold boards together and then sticker them. They also have you punch components out of the player boards. Do you think that'll help with the warping issue? Possibly. I'll have to see what Boon Lake looks like with those dual layered mats to see if it'll help with that. I haven't, I'm not all that closely involved in our replacement parts system these days, but I think Panda has gotten a lot better at making dual layered boards that don't warp. Like I feel like I haven't heard as much about that in the last few years. So I think they got a lot better about finding the right density of cardboard, finding the right glue so it doesn't warp. So Tim, it's possible the problem has already largely been solved, but I do like that the Boon Lake publisher sought an innovative solution for a dual layered mat there, maybe to save on cost as well as prevent warping. I'm curious to see it when you bring it to Geekway. Susanna says that she can play Cascadia one-handed with a cat or baby in one arm. There's one. Nicholas recommends Azul with one hand. Charles says Carcassonne, which might work. I usually hold the bag open with one hand and reach in with the other one, but that could work. Molly suggests Calico, Sagrada, and Role Player are three that she can think of to play one-handed. Yeah, these are great suggestions for games where you don't have a hand of anything and you really only need to touch one thing at a time. Tim says Rolling Realms. Rolling Realms could work, yeah, if you have your dominant hand available to write and read. Allie says, is there anything on GameFound Kickstarter currently that you are excited about? There absolutely are, Allie. Yeah, there are a few projects. On GameFound, I recently backed the new Sleeping Gods campaign, I forget what it's, something, Distant Skies, I think, on GameFound. And on Kickstarter, I know I just backed a few things. I'm backing a tug of war game. Let's see what I'm backing on Kickstarter right now. Oh, I backed the new Shem Phillips Garphill games. I backed, Wayfarers of the South Tigris and Tug of Warriors are the two that I'm backing on Kickstarter right now. GameFound, I always have a little harder time having it tell me what I'm currently backing. Let's see if it can show me what I'm currently backing. No, it doesn't really show me, but I definitely am currently backing Sleeping Gods, Distant Skies. Looks really cool. I love Sleeping Gods, and I think it looks like Ryan did some really interesting, innovative things with the design in this new version. A completely different game, but also uses a lot of the same core mechanisms, but he also innovated on some of them too, which I like to see in games. So it looks really cool. Brist says, I attend, and what about you, Allie, and anyone else? What are you backing on GameFound, Kickstarter, any other crowdfunding platforms, or what have you pre-ordered in other ways that you are really excited about right now? Brist says, am I attending BGG Spring? No, I am not, but I hope you have fun there. What are you looking forward to doing at BGG Spring? That's another board game convention. Frank is joining us from the City of Games. Frank has been writing some great blog posts. If you are an entrepreneur or a crowdfunder in particular, check out Frank's blog at the City of Games. Great blog post recently, Frank. Thanks for doing that, for creating that content. Chris, who I just got to speak to on Tabletop Express yesterday, recommends that Palm Island is great when laying down or standing in line. Briss says, are we expecting an all-in to get into viticulture once the new expansion comes out? Briss, I talked about this a little bit earlier, so I'll just give you the quick answer. All of the products that are related to any of our games are available individually. So you can pick and choose exactly what you want, and they will all be available for viticulture. They will all be available for sale during the pre-order for Viticulture World. So if you want Viticulture World, you can get this, and then if you have this and you'll need Viticulture if you want to play Viticulture World, so you'll at least need to get that too. And then you can choose from the other expansions if you want to get them as well. Completely your choice. We don't do all-ins for various reasons, out of kind of respect for people who already have some of those products, and just to give you the freedom of choice. You can choose exactly which elements of our games you want to get in your order. Lots of suggestions here. Hopefully, I won't read all of them, but lots of people are suggesting games to play one-handed or to play in bed. Some great suggestions here. Nathan says he thinks Prototype Row at Geekway takes place on Thursday from 6 to 10 p.m. in the Grand Ballroom. I see, Nathan. I might stop by before I go, but usually I am at Geekway during the day, and then the introvert in me needs to unwind and go home and relax and really get some work done too, some business done at night. So I'm typically not at Geekway at night. Yeah. Mantis says, do I have a favorite deck building game? I do. I love a lot of deck building games, Mantis. And there is a video that you can check out on my YouTube channel where I talk about my favorite deck building games. A few of my favorites are Dune Imperium, Clank, Quacks, if you count bag building in the deck building category. I really love Shards of Infinity. Crave is a newer one, or a new to me game that I really, really enjoy. I think Crave is really, really good. Yeah, those are a few of my favorites. Okay, Joe says we're almost out of stock of the markers, the Rolling Realms markers in the U.S., so unfortunately he can't ship any to the U.S. at the moment. We'll have to get some extra replacement parts with the next reprint of Rolling Realms. James recommends, I didn't even suggest to Dan any of the Stonemaier games, but yeah, Dan, there are lots of great Stonemaier games that are available in digital format as well. including Wingspan. Wingspan's highly acclaimed. Charterstone, if you haven't played Charterstone yet, they did a great job with the digital version. And even Viticulture. Viticulture is available in digital format too, full AI digital format. Nicholas says, where's the deep voice coming from? Did you see the Disc Golf Pro Tour coverage? I don't know. I guess I'm a little raspy today. I can feel a little thing in my throat. But yeah, I'm not sick or anything. He says, did I see the Disc Golf Pro Tour coverage? Yeah. Over the weekend while we were playing disc golf with Megan's family, we all went out and played disc golf together a couple times. We watched a lot of disc golf too. And I watched the men's finale yesterday because I heard there was a kind of a dramatic finish, and it was if you're looking for some fun action in the disc golf world, go watch the back nine of the men's tournament in Jonesboro that happened this past weekend. If you can watch the whole tournament is great, but if you just want to watch a little bit of it, the back nine is really, really exciting. Let's see, Tim says he's backing the Paradox Initiative, and that's actually from a disc golfing friend of mine here in town. He's the designer. Brian is the designer of that. Okay, James says you can click on upper right in settings on GameFound to see your account under backed projects. Settings, okay, awesome. Thank you, James, for that little tip there. I should have figured that out. Philippe says, how do I feel about how Libertalia was received by gamers? Libertalia wins of Galecrest. I've been watching kind of what people are saying about Libertalia in the Facebook group and on Board Game Geek, the questions they have, the rating. I do check out the rating every now and then, and it seems fairly positive. I think we improved a lot of things from the core game as much as I enjoyed the core game. And so I think my hope is that eventually the rating for the new Libertalia will be higher than the rating from, no, it is much higher. Yeah, the rating for the original Libertalia is 7.1. I thought it was higher. And the new version right now is 7.6 on Board Game Geek. So I feel pretty good about it. I enjoy seeing things on Instagram, for example, people posting their enthusiasm for it, and I feel pretty good about it. I'm really happy with what we did. I did film an interesting video yesterday, Philippe, or interesting to me, that'll come out in a couple Sundays, where I talked about my design/development regrets. I picked a few one or two for each game that we have published at Stonemaier Games, and so in a few weekends you'll get to see typically a mechanical thing that if I could go back in time, I would change this one mechanical thing, knowing what I know now about our games. So you'll see something for Libertalia in there too as our most recent game. Speaking of videos and other content that we've released recently, my video this past weekend was about Red Rising. So if you love Red Rising and you want to play other games that remind you of Red Rising or are kind of similar to Red Rising in some way, check out my video from this past weekend. I also did a blog post, I mentioned this earlier on Thursday, about the South America continent and cultural consulting and identifying and implementing the right solution when you see a problem in a product, particularly as related to history. So that's a blog post from last Thursday. Some things that we're working on. Okay, one other thing I want to mention before I forget is I'm going to try something new pretty soon. So I have a book that came out a couple years ago, a Crowdfunder strategy guide. I actually had given someone my copy, and so for the purpose of what I'll mention in a second, I reordered a copy and accidentally ordered the large print version. So there's a large print version of my book that I didn't even know existed. Normally, it is a little bit smaller than this. But I'm going to do a little book club for this book. And what I'm thinking I'll do is, I don't even know how often I'll do it. Let's start out with one of them. I am going to basically revisit a chapter in this book. Maybe I'll start with the introduction, maybe chapter 1. And I'll do a live cast, probably here on the Stonemaier Games Facebook page, going over that chapter, kind of some of the highlights from that chapter, and applying them to modern day crowdfunding and using modern day examples, because the book is now, I think it's around 7 years old. And a lot of the lessons in it, I would say almost all the lessons in it, still apply to crowdfunding and entrepreneurship today. But the examples are a little outdated. And so I want to revisit them based on modern day crowdfunding, modern day examples. And so if you have the book or you're interested in learning about crowdfunding and entrepreneurship, feel free to check it out. Whether or not you have or don't have the book, you can even get it from a library, I think, or you can buy it. And we're going to do a little book club, a live book club, where live I will talk about a few of the things that I've learned. And anyone who wants to tune in and listen and share their questions about that chapter in the book, you can do that. And then if it works out, then I'll do the next chapter, maybe a week or so later. And we'll do it kind of week by week for a little while, going through the book and just talking about how these examples and these lessons that I talked about in the book apply to modern day crowdfunding. I'm certainly open to feedback for that. That's just my idea right now, but I'm hoping to kind of announce this. Well, I'm announcing it now, but I'll also talk about it in tomorrow's blog post, and then maybe do the first live cast for it the following Thursday or Friday, maybe, if that works for people. I'll have to poll people to see what is the best timing for it. Let's see. Tony says, our gaming group busted out Lords of Waterdeep, which one of the players stated is one of the earliest examples of modern worker placement games. What do you remember as being your first exposure to worker placement games? It wasn't Lords of Waterdeep, although that is a fairly earlier one. Agricola is definitely the first one that I was exposed to, followed by Stone Age and Fresco. I think those were the three. Agricola I played for a couple of years, I think, before I even played Stone Age or Fresco, maybe before they were released. But those were the first three for me. Jerry says, I just finished binging all issues of Senate magazine and was delighted to see you and Viticulture featured in the focus piece on worker placement. Is Agricola still your favorite, or has another game supplanted it for this mechanism? I do enjoy Agricola, but I'm sure, Jerry, that another game has supplanted it at this point. I go back and forth between a lot of different worker placement games. Like more recent, I do enjoy Lords of Waterdeep quite a bit. I also really enjoy Dune Imperium, which has worker placement in it. I'm looking through my channel real quick while I'm answering this. Let me see what my latest video about worker placement says, because every now and then I revisit worker placement, and if I haven't in a while, then I probably need to. Yeah, it looks like the last time I did a worker placement video was 3 years ago, and the top few games on the list at that time were Yedo, Lords of Waterdeep, Rogers of the Ganges, A Feast for Odin, and Tzolk'in were the ones that got the top pick on this particular video. But that can change. That can change all the time. So those are a few of my favorites, and that was 3 years ago. So I've played a bunch of games that include or feature worker placement since then as well. What are a few of your favorites, Jerry? Adam says, which Wheel of Times books did you skim? I read the first 6 books in their entirety, and then I read summaries of books 7 through 13, and then I read the final book, which I think is book 14. If I'm getting that mixed up with 13, let me know. But yeah, I read the final book, and I'm kind of glad I did that format. It's a big commitment to read that entire series, and there was definitely, I mean, it's more epic if you read the whole thing, but I kind of wish I just read. I definitely liked. I mean, I wish I read up to book 5. I don't know if I needed to read book 6. There were just a lot. Some books where not a lot happened. It felt like, and where the summaries were perfectly adequate for letting me know what happened. But the last book was awesome. It made me kind of wish that maybe I had read all of Brandon Sanderson's books in the series. But I'm glad I tuned in for the last book, and the summaries were enough for me to know really what was going on in that book. Yeah. Tim says, the next time I'm in Kansas City, check out Prospero's Books, one of the best bookstores I've come across. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, thanks for the recommendation. I'll have to do that next time I'm in Kansas City. Chad says, what disc golf shots am I best and worst at? I would say I'm not really best at any shots. I have a pretty good approach. I have a pretty good forehand approach with a specific disc. I would say I'm the weakest at a really, really strong forehand drive. I at most can maybe throw 200 feet with a forehand. If I can throw maybe a little bit beyond that, but I can really feel it in my elbow and shoulder. And so I typically use my backhand for longer throws. And putting, I would say I'm the worst at putting. Like I still don't have a great rhythm, a great consistency with putting. Glenn says, we're doing a great job on single-use plastic reduction with Stonemaier World. Are there any plans to work cardboard inserts into Stonemaier games? A few of our games do have cardboard inserts, but we are planning to do that more often. I know it's fun to get a really nice, fancy plastic insert, and when the time is right, like with Viticulture World, I I deemed it necessary to have a nice plastic insert because it helps so much to have all the cards sorted out by continent in there. So in the end, I'm going to go for what I think is best for the experience of the game, or what is needed for the experience of the game, or the expansion in this case. But we are exploring definitely reducing single-use plastic and using cardboard inserts and trays when possible. And we have some big things happening with Wingspan in this regard in particular that we'll be able to show you later this year. Yeah. Molly has a nice comment here. I'll read this very nice comment because Molly just made my day. She says, I'm always impressed with how you interact with people, whether they are fans or not. You always manage to respond to people with maturity, clarity, and respect, even when it must be so hard sometimes. Thank you for bringing such positivity and diffusing such toxicity in the board game world. Thank you, Molly. That really means a lot to me. What you've said here, what you've described here is what I aspire to be. I feel like I'm not always that person, but I appreciate you seeing that in me, and I hope I can continue to strive to be that person, because that is absolutely what I strive for in my interactions with people about Stonemaier games, about really about anything that I'm discussing online or in person. Yeah. Chad says he recently read Artemis. I thought it was kind of meh. What did you think of it? I enjoyed Artemis. So this is the second book by Chad. Let me know the name of the author. I'm forgetting the name of the author who made the Martian was the first book, then Artemis, and then Project Hail Mary, which was awesome. I would say I'd rank them Project Hail Mary, and then the Martian, and then Artemis. But I still think all three are pretty good books. I enjoyed all three of them. I just finished the book A Court. I keep messing up the title. A Court of something. Oh, I'll just look it up. It's by Sarah Moss. A Court of something, ashes, roses. A Court of Thorns and Roses. And now I'm into The Hunger of the Gods, which is the second book in a series, a different series. Will come back to A Court of Thorns and Roses though, because I really, really did enjoy that book. And soon I'll be reading my own book a little bit for this book club that I'm going to do. Cameron says, is this the new version of the book or just revisiting this book in book club format? It's the same book. Yeah, I haven't done a new edition because I thought about it a while ago, but I reread through the book a couple years ago, maybe a year or so ago, and found that so many of the lessons of the book still apply just as they did 7 years ago as they do now. It's just the examples that maybe are a little bit outdated. So yeah, the book club will focus on the exact same book that's available that you might already have, or that you can get at your library or on your preferred bookstore. Yeah. Allie says, so Allie was the original person in this conversation who asked about what projects I'm backing right now. And she says, we are backing Wayfarers and Sleeping Gods as well. I'm intrigued by Last Light based on Maggie and Amy's thoughts about it in a recent video. Ooh, I'll have to watch that video. I missed that video from Thinker Themer about Last Light. Thinker Themer, Last Light. I'll check that out. Oh, okay, so I think it's in... Okay, that's pretty cool. It's in their back chat. I also need to watch their Wonderland video. So I should say next week. So next week I have a surprise for you, something that you don't know about, and I'm very excited to reveal it to you. I'll reveal it in this live cast, of course, and I will reveal it in our monthly e-newsletter, which is next week, May 4th. But be prepared for a little surprise, something that you're not expecting. And it will come hand in hand with something that I have talked about, but I'll let that be a surprise as well. You can speculate over that. But there's one pretty big surprise coming next week. And then in early June, we'll have the pre-order for Viticulture World. Just a little tease about what's coming. In fact, I might have 3 surprises. Yeah, there's actually another one that I forgot about. So yeah, next week is going to be full of some fun surprises for you, I think. I hope. I'm going to try to make it fun. Philippe says, do I think that we could ever make 2.0 versions of our games? I think is the essence of Philippe's question, in reference to my video about regrets. And no, like none of the regrets are things that I don't have any regrets that big about our mechanisms in any of our games that would justify a whole new edition. A few of them did result in official variants, but that's it. Like for me to do a new edition of a game, in fact, you can now see what we do when we make a new edition of a game because we did that for Libertalia. The original Libertalia wasn't our game, but we went all in at revisiting every single aspect of the game and making it, improving it, or trying to improve it. I know that's subjective, but trying our best to improve it. And I don't think the rest of our games need that. Maybe I'm too close to them to think that. I know there are things that people can debate about our games, but I don't think any of them are big enough to need a new edition. They're little variants, maybe house rules at most, but no, not a full new edition for any of our games. Chad says he's on the second chapter of Shards of Earth based on my recommendation. When did you really get hooked on this book? He says he's kind of lost right now. It's more character driven, Chad. So it takes a little while, and if you find that you're not getting into the characters, you may never get attached to it. But I got hooked on the characters within a few chapters, I think. Yeah. Derek says that he read my book about a year ago. He found it very helpful, and discussing to hear my thoughts and an updated setting sounds great. That's great. Thanks, Derek. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. We'll give it a try and see how it goes. Mark is kind to echo Molly's very nice comment earlier. Thank you, Mark, for saying that. Chris has just joined us. Another Chris says, speaking of Sanderson, did I back his Kickstarter? Yeah, I did back Brandon Sanderson's Kickstarter to get the digital versions of the 4 books, and they're going to be a complete surprise to me. Like I didn't get any previews about what they might be. I know he released information about them during the campaign, but I went into it blind, just trusting Brandon Sanderson to write awesome stuff. Ray says, totally random. What's your gut reaction for a house rule inside where you move airships only as part of the bolster action? Do you think it's a horrible idea? Ray, my reaction to house rules is do the thing that is the most fun for you, or try the thing that you think might be the most fun for you. And if it is more fun, stick with it. But officially, the rules for our games in 99.9% of the cases are there for a reason and are there because I thought that would be the most fun experience and the most balanced experience, the most intuitive experience for you. Yeah. So, for any house rule, I'd recommend that you just try it and see how it works for you. And if it's more fun, stick with it. Nicholas says, as a board game cafe owner in between St. Louis and Kansas City, what can we do to get you on your must stop by list? Nicholas, I totally should have thought of that. That was off my radar. I need to do that. Are you in Columbia? Is that where you are? Because Columbia is the main kind of the big town in between St. Louis and Kansas City, and I definitely need to stop by next time when we're doing our drive. Yeah, I can't believe I didn't think of that. I should have mentioned that. So for anyone else watching this, the next time I go to Kansas City, I drive from St. Louis to Kansas City. Let me know if there's anything on the way that you think I should do or anything that we should do in Kansas City itself. I will make a note of that. And Nicholas, remind me of the name of your gaming cafe so that I can make a note of it here. I'll make a note of your gaming cafe. And Tim recommended Prospero's books in Kansas City. Because I make that trip a few times a year because Megan's family is there. Jerry says, have you ever considered trying my hand at designing a dexterity game? I'm trying to think if I've ever tried anything like that. I tried a little bit. I tried a little dexterity at one point. It was kind of a mini game in another game. And it was fun to try to design around. But it probably isn't something that I'd pursue or spend much time on as a designer unless I had a really, really clever idea. Yeah. Darren says, would I ever write a Charterstone novel or novella? I wouldn't say entirely no to that. I mean, it could be interesting to explore Charterstone or explore any of our worlds in novel, novella, even short story format. I've only done that, I think, for Euphoria, and it was a very short story. So someday, I think it's possible, Darren. Yeah. I don't have any ideas for it. Tim reminds me that this Friday is the retail release date for Libertalia Winds of Galecrest. So I know a lot of you, if you're watching this, you may have gotten it directly from us, but some of you might have gotten it from your local bookstore, your local game store, or your local, your preferred retailer of any sort, online or local. And so the release date is this Friday. That's the first day that they can hand it over to you or ship it to you if you bought the game from a retailer. Yeah. Craig says he's backing Seas of Havoc right now. He says, I was after a pirate-themed game with conflict between players. Are you aware of this game or any other game with a similar theme and conflict? I am not aware of Seas of Havoc. I've heard great things recently about Dead Reckoning, which does include some combat. I think you're talking about combat here, because there is conflict in Libertalia Winds of Galecrest, just not combat itself. And then there's an older game, Merchants and Marauders is a game that has combat between players that has a pretty strong pirate theme to it as well. Yeah. George says, thank you, George, for prompting me on this. When's the next Rolling Realms live play? This is the week that I'm going to do most likely Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't know the times, either probably late morning, early afternoon on those days. I'll do the live play for Rolling Realms. One other thing that we're working on, so I mentioned that I accidentally bought a large print edition of my own book, and there's been a great conversation recently in the Wingspan group about making large print cards for Wingspan. Same card size, but large print cards that remove some of the information that you don't really need on the cards, like the Latin name, the fun bird facts, and even the region. You don't need those things for any mechanical purposes in Wingspan. And so we might remove those elements and make a pack of cards, a pack of large print cards for Wingspan for anyone who has trouble reading what the cards say. We're working on that. It's just kind of in the early stages of brainstorming right now, but that's something that we're working on. And just to be perfectly clear, this is not a new version of Wingspan. These cards will not replace any cards in Wingspan in the future. This will be a separate little bundle of cards that we make for Wingspan if we do pursue it. For those of you who could benefit from large print cards. I'm sure someday I will too. Or the cards can also help in low lighting as well. Yeah. Near says, any more official Rolling Realms add-ons planned? We do have a ton of promos in the works. In fact, I was just testing a new batch of promos yesterday. And so you'll start to see them on our web store later this year. Yeah, I'm excited about them. Tim says, the goal for this weekend is to play at least 2 games of Charterstone. What have I played lately? I love that goal, Tim. I love you getting Charterstone back to the table. Recent plays for me included No Thanks, Mysterium Park, and Micro Macro Crime City in Kansas City. And what did I play at game night last Wednesday? Oh, I'm blanking. Megan, do you remember what we played at game night last Wednesday? I don't know if she says we played different games. Oh, shoot. What did I play? Let me look at my phone to see what I played, because I usually take photos of the games. I did play 2 games. Oh, yeah, that's right. We played... I somehow won both. Oh, we played Dune Imperium. We played an hour-long game of Dune Imperium, and I won somehow in an hour, which is the fastest game of Dune Imperium that I've ever played. And what was the other game that we played? Oh, we played Rumble Nation, which is a game that I haven't talked about on my YouTube channel yet, but I will soon. It's a really, really clever, fast area control game. Really, really clever game. Played that as well and somehow won that. I hardly ever win like 1 game, much less 2 games, so it was kind of fun to do that on game night. Nicholas says, how were you able to be a gateway for Megan's family to board gaming or disc golf? So Nicholas, I should clarify that. I was not a gateway into board gaming or disc golf for Megan's family. Megan's brother and sister-in-law were a gateway for me to get into disc golf, and everyone in their family were already into games before I met any of them. So, but it has been fun to, it's always fun for me to teach new games to people, games that they haven't played yet. So hopefully, yeah, I brought them joy by introducing some new games to them. Greg says, do I know of any fan fiction or short stories based on the Stonemaier games? Certainly some great worlds to write about. Check out Euphoria, Greg. There's some Euphoria short stories on our website. I don't know exactly in terms of the navigation as to where they are now, but they kind of cropped up during the Euphoria Kickstarter campaign back in 2013. Jerry says, do you have a Grail game where for one reason or another it's still not in your collection? The thing that comes to mind probably right now in terms of a Grail game is Castles of Mad King Ludwig, which I know I could buy, but there's probably a version of it that I could buy. There have been times where I could buy it, but I backed the new deluxe version, and let's see where it is right now. Kickstarter, Mad King Ludwig. So I backed this version. I've been waiting for it patiently. Like, when it comes, it comes. I guess that it's a tough time to ship games, and let's see. So, okay. So New update just as of yesterday. There's light at the end of the tunnel. The NPCs have been fully approved. So if the NPCs have been approved, it means that they're going to proceed with printing in the very near future. And it looks like they're anticipating shipping in late June, late July. I'd probably say late July is the best estimate at this point if they're just doing NPCs. So late July. So this summer I will get one of my Grail games, the Castles of Mad King Ludwig. This is the collector's edition, but and it looks great. I'm looking at a photo of the, what is this, tunnels right now. Looks awesome. The art looks really, really good in this new version. What about you, Jerry, or anyone watching this? Is there a game that, for whatever reason, it doesn't have to be that the game is inaccessible or like you can't buy it, but just for some reason you haven't bought it, but you maybe covet it in some way in your collection? Like I love Quacks of Quedlinburg, for example, but a friend of mine has a fully decked out version of Quacks of Quedlinburg, and so I usually kind of wait to play with that friend, and then we play with all the good stuff. Another friend has Lords of Waterdeep. Another friend has a fully decked out version of Terra Mystica. And so I love those games. They just happen to not be in my collection. But someday, there are certain times where I look at my collection and I'm like, I really want to play a really nice version of this game right now. And this friend isn't at game night, and so I can't play it. And so I kind of wish I had it. Yeah, there's a little bit of that for me. But I also have plenty of other games that I love on my shelf. Robert says, do you play Dune Imperium with the Rise of X expansion, or have I played it? If so, what do you think of it? So when I played it last week, I didn't play it, and I haven't actually played Rise of X yet. I'm still looking forward to play it. This is another instance where a friend has the expansion, and so I kind of want to play it with that friend, but I'm also tempted to just get it myself and play it because I've heard good things about it. I heard it does some cool things with the game. There's still so much replayability from the core game itself, though, that I'm happy to keep playing the core game in the meantime. Jerry says his Grail game is the deluxe version of Gugong and its expansion. Well, Jerry, I have a friend who actually wants to sell his copy of Gugong, deluxe copy of Gugong. So if you're really interested in it, let me know, and that friend might be more than happy to sell it to you. You can find me at jamey@stonemeiergames.com. What else is going on? Tim says he really wants to get his hands on... No, Tom. Sorry, not Tim. Tom says he wants to get a Feast for Odin. So hard to get in Australia. That's too bad. I wonder if it's maybe between printings right now in more than one location. Let me look at my little topics here to see what else I am forgetting today. Sent out a bunch of review copies of our games earlier this week. Next week I have the e-newsletter with a few different surprises in it. I'm excited to do that. We did put the disc golf discs back on our web store because we got the restock really quickly from Innova, and most of them already sold out again. This is the U.S. store, at least. The units headed to Canada and the U.K. and Australia are still being shipped to those locations. But I did issue another reprint of the discs earlier this week, and so in a few weeks we should have them back in stock again if you're looking to get more varied discs. Yeah, I think that's it. I need to make a note here real quick. Some great fun topics about games today. I've enjoyed this live chat with all of you. Near says Grand Austria Hotel Let's Waltz is their Grail expansion. Interesting. The expansions, I think, are a little tricky for publishers. I think, so I have a kind of a recommendation. I don't want to create fear of missing out in any way, but I will say from a publisher perspective, unless an expansion is a huge hit, I think publishers are more likely to make just a single print run of an expansion. And then maybe they'll come back to it a few years later. But if you ever really are intrigued by an expansion and you have the opportunity to get it in the first print run, I'd recommend getting it. Because I just think expansions are more likely to not be evergreen in the way that some games have the potential of being or being reprinted. There's a lot of uncertainty there, I think, as a publisher as to whether or not most people who really enjoy that expansion will get it right off the bat, and more hesitancy to reprint it. So if you're ever curious about an expansion, I would just recommend getting it for the first print run and not risking it, the chance that you might have to wait a few years for there to be a reprint, or if there's ever a reprint for it. Chad says, how are the boys doing today? Walter and Biddy are doing well. Neither of them are in here. Biddy was snoring on the bed earlier. Walter got some good tummy time this morning to help wake me up. Yeah, they are doing well. Oh, Chris says, I didn't mention the chocolate of the day yet. My chocolate of the day, what is it going to be? Might do some chocolate ice cream tonight. Yeah. I also have a little dark chocolate for my afternoon dark chocolate craving. I think it's Dove dark chocolate. Sarah says that she's loving Dune Imperium Rise of Ix. And Frank says that Frank West of the City of Games says he'd love to get the original StarCraft game. So that's a kind of traditional Grail game, a game that's been out of print for a long time. Trying to get that game. Darren's Grail game is Kanban EV. And Near says, which Stonemaier expansion is the most successful? There's a couple of them. I mean, this is one of the things with expansions. The games that we sell the most of, we also sell the most of those expansions. And so the Wingspan expansions have sold a ton of copies. The Scythe expansions have sold a ton of copies. And Tuscany in particular for Viticulture has sold a ton of copies. So I think it's more for the next tier of games down. So like the Tapestry. Tapestry has done very well for us, but it's definitely not at the level of Viticulture, Wingspan, and Scythe. And the Tapestry expansions, we may not reprint the expansions. They may just be one print expansions. I mean, there's a chance someday we'll revisit them, but there's a pretty good chance they will, for at least a couple years, we'll just have the original printing of the expansions for Tapestries. So, and we made a lot of copies of Viticulture World. And even though Viticulture is a very successful game for us, I think it's pretty likely that for at least a couple years, this might be the only printing available for Viticulture World. That's why it was so important for us to include the replacement cards for South America in every single copy sold, whether it's from our web store, from retailers, distributors around the world, localization partners. Every single copy will come with the replacement cards, not inside the box, but attached to the box, so that you have those cards and can tear up the bad cards in the game and replace them with the good cards. Yeah. All right. Looks like I've reached the end of my topics today. But yeah, I'm looking through my list here to see if I missed anything. It doesn't look like I have. Thank you so much for joining me today with your questions, your comments, these conversation topics. I've had a lot of fun today. I'm pretty hungry, so I'm going to go take a little lunch break here and check out my blog tomorrow for details about how exactly I'm going to do this little book club, or how we're going to try this book club for a Crowdfunder's strategy guide. I will see you next week as well, live here for more topics, more fun for some surprises, the surprises I alluded to. I will see you then. Oh, Nicola has one question at the last minute. Is there anywhere we can read your Euphoria short story? There's a link to it on our website under Euphoria somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but I'll go hunt it down right now. All right, take care, everybody. Have a great day, and I'll see you next week. Bye.